This is Twisters, a 2024 film directed by Lee Isaac Chung, and in fact the sequel to the 1996 classic Twister. Now, Twister happens to be one of my wife's favourite films, if not perhaps her favourite film. So I was under a little pressure really to get this sequel, and when I saw it in FOP I thought, right, it's there, it's £25, let's take a look. I had some comments after my review of Twister recently that some people did think this was very good indeed, and one or two thought it was better than Twister, so how could I resist when I saw it in front of me in FOP. Now, the 1996 film for me is a great film. I couldn't see how anyone could ever improve on it, and I wasn't particularly enamoured with the idea of someone making a sequel. However, this one did pretty well at the box office. It had an estimated budget of $155 million and grossed at the worldwide box office $371 million. It has an aspect ratio of 2.40 to 1 approximately, comes with Dolby Atmos as the default, but there is an option for 5.1 sound through the menu. It has a running time of 2 hours and 2 minutes. It was shot on film using a combination of both anamorphic 35mm and Super 35, anamorphic 35mm being the sort of ultimate image quality you can get for 35mm. Super 35 is a bit of a compromise and usually used where CGI is going to be added later, and I think that is the case with Twisters. Now, Twister was shot in a combination of anamorphic 35mm and VistaVision. VistaVision is another 35mm process, but that runs horizontally through the camera 8 sprockets wide, as opposed to normal 35mm runs vertically and 4 sprockets high. So VistaVision is used to maximise the quality during special effects work. So I think these combinations between the two films, I think that's why in here Twister looked somewhat better on the screen than Twisters. Now, that doesn't mean to say that Twisters looks bad. In fact, I very much like the look of it. It's just compared to Twister, this looks a little substandard. That doesn't mean it is substandard, it's just the impression it gives, because I tend to do these things when I'm doing a review. Right, I've just watched Twisters, I didn't feel that was as impressive as Twister. Let's run upstairs and get Twister and compare them, and that's why I was able to give you that opinion. It might be different on everyone's system. And when it comes to the sound, I also felt that, hold on a minute, Twister was much more impressive in here than Twisters. Why is that? So running the opening sequence of Twister, and I think you can tell immediately that opening sequence on Twister is better than anything on Twisters. At least that was the impression it gave me, and I did go through a few other bits in this and it just gave me a whole better impression than anything in Twisters. Now, I didn't particularly enjoy this. I was lowered expectations because of the negative comments I had about Twisters following the review of Twister, but I had some positive comments, and that gave me a bit of hope maybe that maybe I would get more out of Twisters than I was expecting initially. But the opening wasn't good. There are 4 teenagers, 20-somethings. Both my wife and I thought, oh, good grief, these people are so annoying. That's not a good way to start a film. But we both had a little whisper to each other, and no, let's just keep going. It might improve, the characters might improve, we might like them. But we were both thinking, I hope they kill this lot off pretty quickly and we can get onto a different set of characters and maybe a more enjoyable film. We almost got our wish in that regard, and well, the characters that are in the film throughout, you do actually liken to them, well, at least I liken to them a lot more than I did at the beginning, and by the end of it I rather like them, but I never really got into them. It didn't draw me in like the characters in Twister, and I can't tell you how many times we watched Twister on Laserdisc, or the one time at the Empire Leicester Square. I can't tell you, we've watched that a lot, so we know it very well. We loved it from day one. We didn't find anyone annoying in that. We just found the whole thing so amusing, such good humour, and a thoroughly entertaining thrill ride. So you hope for something similar with a film that is purported to be a sequel, but I think that works against it because there are a couple of things that are carried over from Twister into this, but I don't really consider this a sequel. I think it's just it's a modern film to try and capture some of the spirit of the original film and hopefully some of the money at the box office and on streaming, the home video market and everything else. Now, it could be in here that there was some incompatibility with the sound. I did run the 5.1 option, it's an option via the menu, and that was not as good as I was expecting, and so when I went back to run some sequences again after we watched the film, I selected the default Dolby Atmos, and that sounded quite considerably better. So that's something that may be adversely affecting my enjoyment of the film in here, but sound doesn't really usually adversely affect me because just about everything in here sounds fantastic, which is to be expected really with a high-end sound system. But Twister just sounds exceptional all the way through, so an incompatibility with this system perhaps, something like that anyway. But I didn't find the film particularly engaging for much of it, and quite often I found my mind was wandering, and that's unusual. However, although I don't think it's one of my favourite films by any stretch of the imagination, now I know all those little foibles, I did want to watch it again before recording this review, but I haven't had the time, and I thought if I leave it any longer I'm just going to forget what I've seen. So I thought I'd record this review and maybe give you a warning that Twisters may not be all you're expecting, but I think if you have slightly lowered expectations, if you don't love Twister as much as I do, then it could be that you'll get one heck of a lot out of this. So as much as I don't feel I can recommend this for its current asking price, now it's new, of £25 or £24.99 in HMV and probably other retailers, I think it could be one that when you watch it again, and in fact when I watch it again, I might think, why did I not like that so much? So you do get to learn about it in the extras. There's some good extras in here on how it was made, and they particularly show how the special effects, the CGI, was added into it. So you get some lovely panoramas. I think it's Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma. So you get some lovely scenery that, if your mind hasn't wandered, you can really take in and enjoy. But they show the layers of the CGI going on, one layer at a time. And each layer goes on, you can actually see the image quality degrading. So yes, they're grading the image as well as putting the CGI on, but that seemed to be a little... It seemed to be adding a little too much and maybe taking away some of the image quality that made Twister so enjoyable, but is maybe spoiling things a little for Twisters. There's a cinema in here that gets destroyed. We had the drive-in in this, so there's quite a few references back, so maybe I'm being a bit unfair saying this shouldn't be a sequel, but I think you'll get what I'm meaning if you watch it. It just doesn't feel in any way in the same league to me as Twister, but as I said, I might change my mind next time. Right, I think that's brought us to the end of this video. I'm not sure when this is going to go up. As I'm recording this, I'm hoping to get over to Simon Nichols, and we're hoping to do the Aliens 35mm 4K comparison, so it's coming soon, or at least that's the plan. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and perhaps consider subscribing so I'll be encouraged to carry on creating similar content to this in the future. Until the next video, bye-bye for now.